1, 2, 3,
This video is not sponsored by Vivor. I'm in my craft studio and you're looking at my new tumbler press. I bought a Vivor tumbler press. I fell in love with the idea of pressing tumblers because I love an aluminum tumbler. I've plugged up the tumbler press. The tumbler press is already set for pressing 20-ounce tumblers. Let me move you in closer. It has bolts on the back so that you can make sure that whatever you're pressing is firmly inside of your tumbler. Now, you don't want to touch any of this area here when it's on. It is going to be extremely hot. You can burn yourself and end up having to go to the emergency room. So please keep your hands away from this center part here when your machine is on and you are pressing. But you want to make sure that these dials are turned so that when you put whatever you're pressing, be that a cup or a mug, it's tight and doesn't slide. You want to make sure it doesn't slide. It's firmly seated in your tumbler press. So now that we've already done that, it's time to turn the machine on and get it heated up. The tumblers that I press them for 45 seconds and I rotate them 3 times. And I'll show you that when I get into that. But I turn my tumbler press on to 356 degrees and I press it 3 times. I press it with the seam down, I press it with the seam toward the back, and I press it with the seam facing me. And then I press both ends for between 10 to 15 seconds to make sure that both ends are being pressed and that the image is transferring. And that's for the 20-ounce tumblers that I have. Make sure that if you're going to be pressing any tumblers, that you read the instructions that come with your tumbler so that you're pressing it at the correct temperature and for the right time. So let's turn mine on. If you hit it once, it turns the machine on. If you hit it twice, it will begin to count down for the seconds that I've programmed it for, which is 45 seconds. So we're going to let it heat up to 365. It doesn't take too long, but it will take a little while. And as soon as it's done, it'll beep, and then we will get to pressing that tumbler. While we wait for the heat press to heat up, you want to make sure that you have a heat resistant surface where you're going to be placing your mugs or cups once they come out of your heat press. Right now, I have some parchment paper that I wrap my mugs or tumbler in to make sure that none of the ink transfers inside of my tumbler press. But I have a heat press mat right here. I mean, a heat press mat. It's just a mat that makes sure that it doesn't transfer heat onto any surface. You can also get some Teflon. I have some Teflon over here. You can buy this also. This will also keep your heat from transferring onto whatever surface that you're using. So just make sure that you're protecting your surfaces and that nothing is going to ruin where you're going to put your cups, because your cups are going to be hot. Again, this is heating up to 365 degrees. So is it 365 or 356? 356. 356 degrees. You want to make sure that it is not ruining any of your surfaces. You will also need some gloves, some heat resistant gloves, because you're going to be getting your hands close to your heating element and you do not want to burn yourself. Once you take your mug out of your press, you will need to be able to hold it with your hands, and you'll be able to do that with your gloves. Now, what I highly recommend is if you're interested in purchasing any type of heat press or tumbler presses, that you do so that they come in some form of a kit. This particular tumbler press came with gloves, and I'll put a link in the description box below so that you can see exactly what I bought and exactly what came with it. That way you're spending a little less money on the tools that you need in order to get you started. So I'm going to need to use my phone. because I will be turning on my timer. But you hear the beep? That beep is letting me know that my tumbler press is ready. So let's get ready to press this tumbler. And to turn that tumbler beep off, you just hit the button. So let me move you over so you can see. You just hit the button and it'll stop beeping. So 45 seconds on the clock is what you need in order to get this pressed. Now, the other thing that I recommend you have is a fan. Let me turn my fan on because this will begin to smell, and you don't want to end up inhaling any of those fumes from the heat press or any of the ink. So I hope you all don't hear my fan, but I just turned my fan on. I want to make sure that it's blowing any of that unnecessary fume smell away so that I'm not smelling that. Well, all right, let's get started. So first and foremost, my cup is wrapped. I hope you all can see. This is my seam. And so you're going to put it seam side. What I do is seam side down first, seam side to the back, and then seam side to the front. And then I press both ends. Now I use a lot of tape because I want to make sure that I'm not getting any ghosting and that my seam doesn't show. I've had some success with the seam and some lessons learned with the seam. We'll talk about that when we go to the beginning of how this got to this point. So let's put this in the tumbler press and get started. So seam down, you see the seam down. I put it in this way. And then I pull the lever, close it, and turn my timer on for 45 seconds. I hope you all can see that it's counting down. It will beep when it is done. And you want to make sure that your heat is not fluctuating. Sometimes your heat will begin to drop. You want to make sure you are pressing this at 356 degrees. If it's up one to 357, that's fine. But it needs to be 356. Okay? It's done. It's at 356. So now we're going to take it. We're going to open it up. We're going to turn it seam side to the back. 45 seconds on the clock. All right. Open it up. And that was to the back. Now we're going to turn that seam to the front. Close it up. 45 seconds. Now I'm going to press both ends for 10 to 15 seconds to make sure that both ends are transferred. Now I'm pressing both ends, like I mentioned, for 15 seconds. Once your timer has gone off, you take your cup out. This cup is extremely hot. I don't know if you've noticed, but before you could not see any of the image through the paper. But now you can see the image through the paper. That is an indicator that this cup has transferred its image onto the cup. The paper has transferred the image onto the cup. So we're going to leave this here and let it completely cool off before we start taking any of this tape off. This cup is hot. Everything is hot. 356 degrees is very hot. So we're going to leave it here. And when it's completely cooled, we'll come back and I'll show you what this looks like. The one thing I did forget was to put my parchment paper on my cup, but I don't see any transfer inside of my press. I don't see any ink transfer, but a lot of people use parchment paper. So far, I've been successful. So I'm hoping that this is not going to be an issue. I don't believe it's going to be, but you can see the ink on the outside of the paper. While we wait for my cup to cool off, each cup comes in its own box, gift box, as you may. It comes with a non-slip round for the bottom. It has a BPA-free slid top, so you can slide it to open it and close it. I recommend hand washing all of the mugs that I make and give away and or sell. It also comes with a metal straw and a cleaner for your straw. Here is the moment of truth. The mug is completely cooled. Now, if you are new to sublimation, sublimating tumblers, you may not feel as if all this tape is an issue. Some people who've been sublimating for a really long time find this to be a lot of tape. I am very new to sublimation, and so this works for me. I only have one piece that has lifted up. I've heard people say that their tape lifts up. I've got one piece there and one small piece right here. But for the most part, everything has stayed where I put it. So there should not be any issues with the tape and the image lifting up. Now, this is the seam where the wrap overlapped. So the end over here met this end over here. This was the overlapping piece. And so here is where the two should have met. And hopefully there will be no white seam here. I'm not quite sure. But I made sure that I ran my finger along the line here. I also have a tool. Let me show you. Let me grab it. I should have grabbed it, but I did not. Let me grab it over here. I have a couple of tools that I use to help me press down my tape and my seams. Excuse all the noise in the background. I need to clean up all my crafting paper on the floor. But I use this tool to press the seams down, to press my tape down, to make sure that the top level of my cup doesn't have any bumps or ridges, that it is absolutely flat when you run your finger across. I also turn my cup upside down and run it like this across the table so that it's nice and flat. I do the same thing to the bottom. I run it like this, or I turn it on its side and I roll it like this to make sure that that tape is tight and secure along the front or the top and the bottom of the cup. Now that might seem like a lot to some, but when you're first starting out, you need to make sure that your sublimated paper is touching your cup so that that transfer ink transfers onto the cup. You want to try your best to do all the tricks of the trade to make sure that when you are printing your cup, you get the best image possible. And I'm very nervous. I don't know how this is going to come out, but we're going to open it up and we're going to see. It is cold, so it's time to open it up. So basically all you do is you just peel your tape back. You can use, I do have other tools over there that I can use to pull this back, but I don't feel as if I need to go and grab them. So I'm just going to place this tape on the table. The toolkit that I bought came with this little scraper along with some tweezers to help get the tape up. You want to remove your tape, all of your tape. A lot of people feel like they're very anxious and they want to see the cup, so they just start ripping. I'm very anxious, but I want to make sure that I'm not scratching my cup, scratching the image. So I'm just trying to be very careful. Now, right here where all the tape is overlapped, you will need some scissors. Be very careful not to cut your cup. I just get one small little slit and try and peel it back like that. Like I said, you will have a little bit of trouble if the tape is overlapped, but just take your time. There is no rush. I know it's exciting. You want to see what's under here. I want to see it as well. I'm very nervous, but I want to take my time to get my tape off so that I am not scratching my cup by using a tool. I do my best to use my hands, and that's it. And I just peel my tape back. If you overlap your tape, then you're not sitting here pulling one little piece of tape at a time. But again, do what you feel is best for you. Follow the processes and the procedures that you have learned. I do it this way because it works for me. I'm not rushing. I'm not scratching the image. I'm just taking my time. I'm just as anxious as the next person, but I'm taking my time, taking all of my tape off. I hope you all can see. I do apologize if I was out of the frame. I've got my tape pile off to my left. So that's what I'm doing over there. Let me move it a little bit over so that I'm not out of the frame. Almost done with the tape. And I do apologize for not speeding this up. But what I've noticed is that when you're new, you want to see all of the bits and pieces. You don't want people to speed it up. You want to see it. It's the anticipation. It's the, well, how did they do that? They didn't show that part. How am I going to know? Well, if you speed it up, you're not going to know. So I am taking my time to show you all in real time how this works. And then you just take your tape off, just like that. The heat tape comes off very easily. It doesn't have a lot of stick to it. It will stick to the paper, but it's not really sticky. So it will come off. Now I'm going to do it this way. That way I'm also going a little slow because I want to see the image when you see the image. I don't want to see the image beforehand. I'm very nervous. This is a custom piece. So I am nervous because this is going to be going out. I'm going to put this in the mail tomorrow. And I'm hoping that my customer is going to be happy with this. I hope I don't have to reprint this. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. I'm nervous. I'm very nervous about this. All right, you all. Last piece of tape. And this is for my newbies. This whole process is not for those who have been sublimating, because you all know how to do this. This is strictly for my brand new out of the box. You all haven't ordered your items yet. You don't have your kit. You don't have anything to do with sublimation yet, but you're curious about it. And so this is my mug, and I'm going to open it up for you all right now. I created this tumbler last night, but once I finished the video, my customer did not want the image, the photos on this tumbler to be shown on social media. So I unveiled it, but I had to take away that footage. So let me show you what I can show you so that you can see that you too can create your own tumblers. So this is the tumbler that I created last night. And if you can see, the image has come out very well. At the very top of the mug, the tumbler, you can see that it has printed out well there. I love to wrap my paper around the top of the mug so that I get a full press all the way around to the very top of the mug. As well as on the bottom of the mug, I like to make sure that I'm getting as much of that bottom covered with my sublimation paper so that it is a beautiful wrapped tumbler. Now again, I cannot show you the images on here. My customer doesn't want that to be shown, but I want to just show you how beautiful. I created this entire image on my own. It's not something that I pulled off of Canva. I do use Canva, but every part of this image I created myself, all pieces of the background and everything included. Now, what I do want to talk to you all about is the seam. When you're working with a tumbler, if both images on both sides that meet up are not the same, you will see the transition. I'm okay with this. I think my customer will be okay with this. I sent them a mock-up of it. I always take video of the tumblers that I create, and I have the ability to do a 360 turn so that my customers can see the image before I ship it out. And this one again was custom. So everything on here I created, all the hearts, all the splotches, all the stars, this little pearl, which was a family, special family moment between the family members. Uh, Everything was created from what I've gathered from my customer. So I just wanted to show you all, if you're new with creating tumblers, I would recommend making sure you use an image that both sides are the same when you match them up. If not, it will be a transition that will be noticeable. What I like to do is tell my customers that there will be some imperfections because they may see this as an imperfection, and all it is that the left and the right, or the right and the left side, or the left and the right side, there are two different images, so you're going to see a difference. You don't see a stark whiteness, but you do see the images because there is light in the image here, and you do see that, but there is no stark white line here, which is considered the seam. Let me bring it up a little closer so that you can see it. But this is the finished product for my tumbler. I've already added my non-slip round on the bottom, and I've already put my cap on it and put it in the box. So until the next video, I hope you enjoyed this quick view of me starting my tumbler process or my tumbler journey. I will be bringing more videos like this to you, and I will show you what I did to actually purchase everything, how much it cost, what I thought my initial investment was, and my journey to starting my tumbler business. So until the next video, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. I hope to see you again in my craft space, making tumblers with my Vevor tumbler press or my Vevor heat press in the near future. Until then, bye for now, and I hope you get to starting your sublimation projects real soon. Bye for now.
1, 2.